In this section, we're going to be looking at the terminal. So in Linux, a lot of commands are terminal-based or command line-based commands. So even though Ubuntu and Bootskador are pretty easy and it's generally you could generally do a lot by the GUI, which is a graphic user interface, right here on the sidebar. I could click any one of these and launch a program, much like Windows or a Macintosh. Um, there may be an occasion where you're going to need to run a terminal, or you want to run one to run certain programs or do certain updates or whatnot. So, in order to launch the terminal, it's going to be this little black box, and it'll say terminal. So, if I just click on that, it's going to open this black box here. So, this is going to be like for Windows user, it'll be like the command prompt. For Mac, it's going to be, I believe it's called the terminal. So once you're in here, there's a couple important things to remember. So in Linux, everything is case sensitive. So if I'm going to a desktop or I'm going to launch a program, if there's a capital in it, you're going to want to capitalize it. Otherwise, it's not going to recognize it. Um, the other thing is for Ubuntu and most Linux distributions, you're not going to be an administrator by default. So in order to launch certain commands, you're going to want to you're going to want to run yourself as a administrator, which I'll show you in a minute. So let's get through a couple quick commands here. So I'm sitting here at my terminal. The first command I want to show you is ls, which is going to show you all the files in the directory that you're currently in. There's also cd, which is change directory. So if I want to go to, say, the desktop, I could do cd. And remember, it's case sensitive, so I'm going to type in a capital DE. And here's another great feature about Linux. You could do what's called autocomplete. So if I click the tab key, it's going to figure out what I'm typing. This will work for directories and file names. So if I hit enter, it'll take me to my desktop. And just to show you that, I'll type in ls. And you can see the image file right here, which is also on my desktop. If you want to go back, you could type cd again. It'll take you back to the root directory. Root is going to be the main directory for Linux. Okay, if you want to clear the screen, you type in clear, and that'll clear off everything off the screen. Let's get a couple basic networking commands. Let's do ifconfig. So ifconfig is going to be for Windows users, it's going to be ipconfig. So it's going to give us our network configuration, our IP address, network card information, and whatnot. If you want to just look at your wireless configuration, you could do iwconfig, and that'll give us our wireless extensions. We could also do ping. Let's ping Google. And you can see it's pinging Google right now. Now, the important thing to remember with Linux is that when you do a ping command in Linux, it's going to keep going. Unlike Windows, I think it runs 4 ping commands and stops. Linux is going to keep going until you stop it. So in order to stop it, you can do the Control C key and that'll stop the ping. Okay, so there's also, let's clear this out real quick. There is also a feature called APT. So on Windows, you have to go through the control panel, Windows updates, look for your updates. Mac, you click the Apple, about this, and you have to search for updates. Linux, I feel, is a little bit easier. So there's a command called apt. So let me show it to you real quick. And whenever you do anything that's really going to change the system, like install a program, remove a program, update the system, Linux is going to require you to be an administrator. So remember, we're going to type in sudo, sudo, and that's going to make us an administrator just for that particular command. Once that command ends, you're no longer administrator. So if you do something else that requires administrative privileges, you're going to have to type in sudo again. So I'm going to do sudo apt-get and update. And what this command does is it'll look for all the updates for that operating system. So here you can see it's asking for a password. So of course it's going to be OSINT, O-S-I-N-T. And you can see it finding all the updates. Now it's not actually installing them yet, it's just finding them right now. So if I want to do, look for the updates and apply them, you do sudo apt-get upgrade. And it'll apply all the upgrades if there are any. Since this is a new install, everything's already up to date. Another way you could do this is you could do sudo apt-get update and sudo apt upgrade. And that's going to run both commands. How this works is you're logging as an administrator, it's looking for updates, and this is going to be just like you're typing in a second command. So that's why you have to type in sudo again, apt. Oh, actually, I forgot the upgrade. So let me back up here, or get rather, apt-get upgrade. So after that and, it runs it as a separate line. So we'll run that. And again, you can see it's already up to date. So I'm going to clear this out. Other commands, useful commands, are help. If you're in a particular program, you're not sure how it works, you can type in help, and generally there's a help feature. Right here in the root, there isn't any, so I'm going to clear that out. You could also do up arrow. So the up arrow is going to run every command that you ran previously. As you can see, I ran all these before, so I'm going to back out of that. There may be programs that you want to install, so you could. This is another cool thing about Linux. So if I do sudo apt-get, now I'm going to type in install, and say I want to install Audacity. And let me make sure it's not in here already. So here's my programs, and if you want to see all the programs in Buscador, you just click this little grid right here and scroll through here, and Audacity is not installed yet. So let's get back in here. I'm going to type in Audacity. And as long as it's in this repository, you can actually install the program. So in like Linux or Mac, to install Audacity, you have to open a browser, go to the website, download it, click the file, run through all the setup features. Linux is much easier. As long as, again, it's in the repository. And it's pretty easy to figure that out. If I type in Audacity, it's not in the repository, it's going to tell me. But if you type in sudo space apt space get space install space whatever the file name, Audacity, I'm going to click enter. So it found it in the store, and it's going to install it. So if I look in here, there's our Audacity. So let me launch it real quick. And you can see it's running. This is fantastic. It's a lot easier than, like I said, Windows or Mac in my opinion. Saves a lot of time. So if you want to remove it, you do sudo, because again it's going to be an administrative command, apt-get remove, and whatever the file program that you want to remove. So I want to remove Audacity. And I'm just going to autocomplete by hitting the tab key. And it's going to ask me, do you want to continue? And this is how much disk space is going to be freed up. And I'm going to say yes. and it's removed. So if we check in here, Audacity is gone. Okay, other useful features. A lot of times there's programs, the, the more you use Linux, the chances are you're going to find other programs that may not be in the repository that you want to get. So say for this example, we want to get a program called Recon Dog, which is in GitHub. If you're not familiar with GitHub, it's a website where people um, post their various programs that they made. It's all this is going to be free, free for download, free for use. It's a really great place, especially for Linux users. So if I scroll through here, this one's called Recon Dog. And we can see here the files and when the last time it got updated, who posted it. Scroll down in here, we can see this is Recon Dog is your all-in-one tool for your basic information gathering needs. It uses APIs to gather all the information so your identity is not exposed. Now that sounds pretty cool for OSINT. And down in here I'll tell you the commands that you want to run in order to get it. So in order to enter the following command in the terminal to download it. And after downloading, you can list all the directories, and this is how you run it. So I'm just going to copy this. And let's go back in our terminal. Let's clear this out so we can a little bit easier to read. Okay, so if you right click and paste, you can see the command here. So if you want to download a program from GitHub, it's going to be git clone and whatever the URL is. And actually, don't forget to type in sudo because you are installing a program, so this is going to require administrative privileges. So I'm just going to hit the enter key. It's going to clone that file and it's going to download it. So if I type in ls, we could see Recon Dog right here. So folders are going to be in blue, files are going to be in, programs are going to be in green here. So if we want to go into Recon Dog folder, we could do cd recon, and we'll autocomplete by hitting tab and the enter key. Then we do ls to see what's in there. Actually, let's clear this out and make it a little bit easier. ls, and we could see our programs in here. Dog.py, which py stands for Python. We can see a license file and a README file. So these are all great. So if I try to run the Recon Dog, and down here it says I type in Python space dog.py. Let's try it. Dog.py. It's going to run our program. I'm not going to go through this right now, so I'm just going to exit out of it. Let's clear this out and pull this back up again. Not all programs are going to run right away. Generally, if it's grayed out, that means it's not executable yet. So if that's the case, if you're not able to execute a file, generally read the README file. It's going to tell you what's going on. Or you could try to do what's called a chmod plus x, and I'm going to do dog.py. And it's going to change the permission to allow me to run it. This case it didn't let me because I forgot to type in sudo, because you do need to be an administrator to run that. Chmod plus x dog.py ls, and you can see it turned green. Okay, in order to read the README file, I'm going to do what's called cat. Okay, and so cat is going to be a command to read text files. So let's type in README. I'm going to autocomplete that. If I hit enter, then it's going to pull up the README file for me right here. So as you can see, Recon Dog is all in one tool for all your basic information needs, downloading and running, clone. So all the information that was right here was part of that README file. Okay, so let me clear that out. And to exit out of the terminal, either you could hit the X right here, or you could type in exit. Okay, so that's a really quick run through on the Linux terminal. And I'll put a text file in the lecture, so make it a little bit easier so you can go back and reference it. And that was the Linux terminal. Thank you.